Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that so many talented people face, but we almost never talk about it out loud. We are talking about those invisible barriers that can just stall a great career in its tracks, and more importantly, the unspoken rules you have to understand to finally break through. Let's get right into it. Does this sound familiar? This one sentence just captures this deep frustration that so many hardworking, super skilled professionals feel. You're doing everything you're supposed to do, right? You're diligent, you're talented, you are putting in the hours, but your career just seems to have hit this invisible wall. It's incredibly maddening. And in this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly why it happens and, what you can actually do about it. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to name the problem and define the invisible wall. Then we'll explore the cultural mismatch of high versus low context communication. After that, we'll pull back the curtain on the unspoken rules of power and show you how to shift your mindset from worker to strategist. And finally, we'll give you a practical visibility playbook and talk about how to start claiming your seat at the table. All right, so let's start at the very beginning, because here's the thing. You can't solve a problem until you can actually see it and give it a name. And what we're talking about here is a phenomenon that is systemic, it's subtle, and it is incredibly powerful. And there is a name for this invisible barrier. It's called the bamboo ceiling. The term was actually coined by Jane Hune way back in 2005 to describe this unique mix of factors, cultural misunderstandings, stereotypes, and just systemic issues that stop so many Asian professionals from reaching the top levels of leadership, even though they're more than qualified and often dominate at the entry levels. And this data, wow, it just lays the problem out there in black and white. Look at this. Asian professionals are a huge presence in technical roles. Up to 47% in some parts of the tech industry. But then, look at that second bar. At the executive level, that number just plummets to less than 6%. So this clearly isn't a talent problem, right? It's a promotion problem. The talent is in the building, but it's getting stuck somewhere on the way to the top floor. It's what people call a leaky pipeline, and this data is basically screaming that the leak is happening right at that jump from being an individual contributor to becoming a manager. So what in the world is causing this leak? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is this fundamental clash in communication styles. It's a cultural mismatch that often goes totally unnoticed in our day-to-day work lives. Okay, so think of it like this. In high-context cultures, which are really common in East Asia, communication is subtle. The real meaning is found between the lines. It's in the relationship, the nonverbal cues, the shared history. It's all about reading the room. But in low-context cultures, like in the US and Western Europe, the priority is being direct. What you say is what you mean, full stop. The focus is on a super clear, explicit message. Now, imagine when these two styles collide in a workplace without any understanding of the other. Wires get crossed all the time. And this right here shows you the real-world fallout from that mismatch. In a typical Western low-context office, some really important cultural values can suddenly become career liabilities. Humility, which is intended to show respect, often gets misinterpreted as a lack of confidence. Thoughtful silence in a meeting isn't seen as active listening, it's seen as having no ideas. The value of not bragging about your work is often misunderstood as having no ambition. And trying to prioritize group harmony can be seen as you being unwilling to engage in that constructive conflict that so many Western companies seem to love. But wait, it goes even deeper than just cultural misunderstanding. To really, truly break through, you have to understand that the workplace operates on a set of unspoken rules about power, influence, and promotion that have absolutely nothing to do with how good your work is or how many hours you clock. This is the absolute heart of the matter. We're all taught to believe that a promotion is a reward for our past hard work. It's not. A promotion is a strategic decision by management. It's an investment. Your boss is using one of their most valuable resources, a promotion, to solve a future problem or to make their own team stronger and increase their own influence. So the hard truth here is that being a perfect, reliable employee, that perfect cog in the machine, that's just the price of admission. It lets you keep your job, but it often won't get you that promotion. Just think about it from your manager's perspective for a second. If you're already giving 110% as a loyal, dedicated employee, why would they spend their limited political capital and budget to promote you? From their point of view, they're already getting your best work for free. And this brings us to another game-changing distinction, the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. Now, a mentor is fantastic. They talk with you. They give you great advice. They help you get better. But a sponsor, A sponsor is the person who talks about you when you're not in the room. They are the ones with real power and influence who are actively fighting for your promotion in those closed-door meetings where the real decisions get made. They're literally putting their own reputation on the line for you. Finding a sponsor, it is non-negotiable if you want to get ahead. So understanding all these hidden rules is step 1. Step 2 is to fundamentally change how you approach your entire career. You have to evolve from being a passive worker into an active strategist. See, so many of us are trapped in what you might call the student mindset. We were raised to believe that if we do perfect work, turn our homework in on time, and get an A, we'll be rewarded. But the workplace is not a classroom. You have to adopt a player mindset. A player understands the game board. They don't just ask, "What's my task?" They ask, "What's the real game here? Who are the decision makers? And how can I align my work with their biggest goals to create a win for both of us?" Now, this mindset shift is especially critical if you want to escape the model minority trap. This is such a damaging stereotype that basically labels Asians as great workers but not leaders. And it creates this frustrating no-win situation, a total double bind. If you're quiet and you just do your work, you confirm the stereotype that you're a great worker bee but not a leader. But if you become more assertive to show leadership, you risk being seen as too aggressive because you're suddenly violating people's expectations. It's a total catch-22. Okay, so we've named the problem, we get the cultural context, and we've started to shift our mindset. Now for the fun part, the practical, actionable playbook for actually getting seen and getting ahead. It really boils down to this simple 3-step strategy. Number 1, you have to master your own narrative. 2, you have to intentionally create moments of visibility for yourself. And 3, you've got to actively work to secure a sponsor. These 3 things, they all work together to build what you can think of as your political capital. Now, I know this quote sounds almost too simple, but it's really a powerful metaphor for a much bigger idea. Hiding at your desk, even if you're being super productive, makes you invisible. Building relationships, even the informal ones over coffee or lunch, is not a waste of time. It is a core part of the job of getting promoted. This is where you build those weak ties that sociologists talk about, and those are often the source of all the best new information and opportunities. So, what does this actually sound like? Well, when a senior leader asks you how you're doing, please don't just say, "busy but good." That just shuts the conversation down. Instead, open a little window into what you're doing. You could say something like, "Doing great, thanks. I'm actually really excited about this new analysis I'm working on. It's showing some pretty surprising trends. By the way, how is that big product launch you're leading coming along?" See? The goal isn't to be fake, it's to be memorable, and to show you're thinking bigger than just your to-do list. This is how you build real connections, and those connections build trust and visibility. And this brings us to a crucial equation for your career. Your value is not your actual value. It is your perceived value. And your perceived value is a direct result of your communicated value. I'll say that again. Perceived value equals communicated value. If you solve a massive problem but none of the decision makers know you did it, then for all career purposes, it might as well have never happened. You have to be the one to strategically share your wins. So let's bring all of this together. We've broken down the myths, we've looked at the real mechanics of how careers actually advance. Now it's time to talk about taking control. This is your call to action. It's time to stop thinking of yourself as a pawn, the person who just quietly and diligently pulls the cart. That is a noble role, but it's ultimately a limited one. It's time to see yourself as a player on the board, to step into the spotlight, and to strategically claim the position and the recognition that you have absolutely earned. So let's just quickly recap the 4 key takeaways here. Number 1, the bamboo ceiling is a real systemic issue. It is not a personal failing. 2, promotion is a political investment that you have to influence, not a reward that you just wait for. 3, you've got to shift your mindset from a passive worker to an active strategist. And 4, visibility and sponsorship are the absolute keys that will unlock that door to the executive suite. So I'll leave you with this one question. Knowing this stuff is one thing, but taking action is everything. So what is the one small, concrete thing you will do this week to start playing the game a little differently? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.